Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Bill Harvat from Crawl Club Publishing as we talk about D&D, the OSR, and tabletop gaming. Last time we talked, you were building something from outer space, and now we're when the dust settles and actually the work starts to speak for itself as you're going now into your, I believe, volume 4 of Righteous Vow, as the first 3 are already out, and you're already
Yeah,
actually funded.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Which is awesome.
yes,
Everything's
as of
gravy.
as of today, you are at 19,000 out of your 9,000 goal. You ain't quite reached that 34,000 like
Oh no.
record,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it could happen.
We're still happy. We're still happy. Anytime that we can fund a project and get a product that we can put out there, that's great. The goal is always to fund to make sure that we get the new book made, and we've achieved that goal, and now everything from here is more more that we can put towards new projects, etc. So that's great. And we've got a lot of people that are hopefully looking forward to this one. It seems like it. We've got quite a few people already on board, and hopefully many more soon. So we still got about 11 days, 12 days, something like that. And so there's still time to jump on Righteous Vow Volume 4, Black Masks and Magic. So
And then for anyone watching this past the date of like the due date, are they able to pledge anything post the?
yeah, we're gonna do late pledges as well. So we're looking forward to hopefully getting a couple more pledges on board during that part. Sorry if my dogs are barking like crazy upstairs. Hopefully you can't hear that. But if you can, those are my two black labs going crazy.
No problem. We have a Samoyed here in the house, so we get it.
Yeah. And yeah, we're just really excited to be putting this together. This project is another creative project that we're just trying to make for Shadow Dark something that allows people to play a pirate adventure. Any pirate adventure you want. We're including all the rules for ships. We got ship layouts that are hand drawn by our artists. We've got all original artwork drawn by real people, no clankers. So, and we're just trying to create something fun that'll get people excited and playing Shadow Dark, and that's kind of the objective here. We're honored. We were honored at GaryCon to be one of the few third-party publishers that Kelsey and Michael and the Arcane Library crew decided to include in their third-party offerings at their booth at GaryCon. So it was really nice to have all the Crawl Club Publishing books there. We had,
And they were
all.
selling well for anyone
Yeah.
listening. I was there. It was actually selling well.
So we were really excited that people are excited about our work. So it's a labor of love between myself writing all this fun stuff and my artist Andrew Beckwith, our lead artist. Then Dwayne Rogers and Uriah Groves, also huge parts of the creativity behind Righteous Vow. And then we've got other artists like my good friend Matt Morrow. He actually plays in my monthly Shadow Dark game at my house. So I love having him around. He comes to FLGS events and draws and hangs out. And but he did the cover art on Shadowcrawler Carnage and the actually back of the cover as well. So he went along with all my fun zany ideas. And but then we also have Derek Stevens, who was a newer, not necessarily a newer artist, but newer to Crawl Club Publishing. He did some great art in there as well. And then we also, I want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out, and I know I am because we also had on this book. Yes, Rick Bass. How could I forget Rick? Rick did a ton of art inside of this book, and he's a friend of Dwayne's. So
Mhm.
Dwayne Rogers introduced me to him, and he did a really fantastic job on a lot of the artwork inside of this book as well. So really excited to have all those guys on board. I'm as a creative myself who loves the fun of RPGs and the fun of creating these silly zines.
Yeah.
I just love making things possible for other creators and being able to have a stable of talented artists that I can work with and collaborate with is an honor, and I love it. And hopefully, it seems like they're having as much fun as I am. So
Exactly.
get
You
a chunk of it.
supported no AR claim.
Yeah.
I did not even realize though, like how much of like kind of a little cult following in the Shadow Dark community you have. I was actually talking to Marcelo about it at Gary
Oh,
Con of like we were joking and well halfway joking that's like I did not realize that Bill is kind of a little bit of a rock star among the OSR community. It's kind of crazy. And then you've continued to run events at Gary Con. I tried to sign up for one, but filled up faster than your Kickstarter
oh,
funded.
yeah, yeah, that's exciting too, to see that the community has embraced what we're doing, and I like to think of that I'm a fun GM to play games with, and so far everybody's thought so. So I really love the fact that I can go out to our FLGS and run Shadow Dark games, and there's a lot of people that show up, and I'm excited because now we've got other GMs that are jumping into running Shadow Dark as well. We've got there's another guy, Bill K. I can't remember how to say his last name, but I think it's Kalmbach or something. Maybe I could be totally wrong. But it's funny because they'll create an event for Bill K and they're like, "Is that Bill H?" No, it's Bill K. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get a great game no matter who's running it. But it's kind of funny that the other guy is named Bill too, that mainly runs games in Omaha. But other than Dave Rosser runs games, which
Yes.
Dave is awesome. Dave is like one of my favorite people in the community.
He
Dave
and then he's
Rosser,
also
man.
a small side tangent just because I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Oh
He's
yeah, yeah.
also getting into armored MMA, and that's an amazing journey
Yes.
to watch, at least from the social media's perspective.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, that's where me and my two sons, I have an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old. And yesterday, they did like a fundraiser event. It went to a couple of charities, which was really cool. So Dave was like really excited about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to bring my kids. So we went out there and watched him and the Omaha Hellhounds
Yeah.
is their team or their group that goes out and fights in these matches. And man, there were so many people out there. There were people flying around, jumping on top of each other. I was actually afraid somebody's going to get hurt because they are like full on, just like beating the snot out of each other with these axes and swords and clubs and everything. And I was just like, man, it's a wonder that they aren't all bruised up or something doesn't sneak through that armor, because they definitely have to be safety minded when they're doing that, because that if they didn't have that armor on, somebody was going to get like a concussion or worse.
No,
So
I we interviewed Spencer Waddell, who's actually like a three-time long swords champion in that as well, and that was like a
yeah,
good portion of the conversation. Is like, how have you not gotten like a concussion, or how is
yeah.
that more not prevalent in that sport? But it's a crazy sport regardless.
Yeah, I definitely need to go back and listen to that episode because that kind of intrigues me. It was my first real exposure to it, and knowing Dave and how awesome Dave is, just I want to go do everything. He's kind of like me in a different way. We're both very, very outspoken extroverts who enjoy being stoked about life. So,
I'll have to
hang on
link
one
you
second, I can
after this interview. But like, how did your games
absolutely.
go at GaryCon? Kind of getting back on subject.
Oh yeah.
And were you playtesting Righteous Vow 5 or whatever the next project is?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what we did, they all went fantastic. I did a couple of games of Shadow Crawler Carnage, which that went fantastic. And a lot of people had got out of the game that, there were people there that backed the Kickstarter. They were excited because we were really fortunate that we were able to ship out our books right before GaryCon.
Yeah,
So a lot of people, they had their copies waiting for them in the mail when they got back home from GaryCon.
that's
But those that
amazing.
didn't, yeah, yeah, those that didn't, we had them there at the booth, so we were able to sell them there. And a lot of people were like, "Man, this is so much fun." Because Shadow Crawler Carnage is just like, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. But it is something that hopefully takes a new spin on, this whole getting abducted by aliens and being forced into a, Running Man
Yeah.
style.
We were
adventure.
talking. We were talking back in
Yeah.
December about it. Actually, this is your third appearance on the podcast. So you're actually the person that's been on the podcast most as a guest now, and it
Sweet.
reminded me of Thor Ragnarok meets The Running Man.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And people were excited about that. I also ran two play tests of the Righteous Vow 4 one of the adventures because there are five adventures in the book that's upcoming.
Hmm.
It's kind of split into five parts. And you can, that's the beauty of kind of Righteous Vow is I write these things with multiple kind of adventures inside of them that have an overarching storyline if you want. But the wonderful thing about it is I've always made these so that if somebody wanted to, they could just choose one of the adventures out of it, pull it into their world, and make it, their own. And that's kind of the wonderful thing about playing RPGs is it's a beautiful collaboration between yourself, the players, and whatever you have prepared to adventure with.
Yeah,
And if that's Righteous Vow or Shadowcrawler Carnage, we're honored that you have chosen us to to be a part of your world. And it does not bother me at all. I love it when people like I've had so many people say, "Oh, I took this adventure and this adventure out of part two, and then I just threw it into my world, and we loved this and we had fun with this." And so, I'm trying to do that same thing with Righteous Vow 4, even though it's a pirate adventure, and it's a little different than what we've done before. I want to be able to say, hey, you've got a Shadow Dark campaign and you want to do a pirate adventure, take like adventure three, throw it in your world, see how it goes. Maybe they'll want to keep going. Or, maybe you're playing a pirate Borg adventure, which
yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but I might be heading to a convention in April where I might be playtesting to see if Righteous Vow 4 can be compatible with Pirate Borg and then maybe just coming out with a Pirate Borg version of it because I played a lot of Pirate Borg at GaryCon, and I had a ton of fun with that game.
I
I
actually
think
ended
that,
up buying my own
oh,
copy and talking to them
yeah.
at Thrawn and just having a ton of fun. I played a couple of games of Shadow Dark and I think one of Pirate Borg, and I actually played strictly OSR older school games and just had fun, and then just
Oh,
did a
yeah.
bunch of seminars myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they kill it with that new starter set. I don't know if that's what you got. Did you pick up the new starter?
No,
Or
no,
did you
I
just
just got the book itself just because I
Oh,
know
okay.
it's I've played for 17 years. I know if you at
Yeah,
least have a reference for RPGs or TTRPGs, you can pretty much run most other tabletop role playing games.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing, like that book, I got it last year, and I played a little bit of it, like I think I did like a demo game of it, but it was just kind of a one-off adventure that someone played or did like a demo online for me. And then but they just came out with that starter set and the adventures in there. That has got to be, I'm telling you, what Luke Stratton from Limithron and his brother. I'm brain farting his brother's name, but he is also a Mr. Stratton. But
Yeah,
but they put on amazing events at the convention, and then just that starter set. Oh my gosh, it is just loaded with good stuff. It's got
it is.
tokens,
I've
got
I was looking
maps.
at it
Oh man,
online and kind of regretted not buying it at the con itself. But I got the book and I got it signed and talked to
yeah.
him a little bit, and it was an amazing conversation.
That's all right. I've got it. And we need to just get some people together and play it together, Nathan. Sound
Oh,
good? Just
yeah,
play
I
some
was actually
board
talking
with
to Marcelo that I need to head out to Game Shoppy Bellevue or Omaha and just hang out
Yeah,
one weekend that my group is not playing because that's usually when we
sure.
play is the weekends I'm off.
Yeah. And if you want to play with Marcelo, I'll tell you what, I love playing in his dungeon crawler or dungeon crawl classics games because he runs DCC,
Yeah,
and Marcelo is my DCC GM or judge as they call it in DCC. But I always, when I want to play DCC, I go play with Marcelo because he does a great job running and he makes it a lot of fun. And I love DCC. That's the problem is there's all these different game systems and I want to play all of them, and I don't have enough time.
it, I, it's the same conundrum as too many toys, not enough time, or not enough money
Yeah,
and too many toys, or whatever metaphor. Uh,
totally.
I do. What part of like the kickstarting though? Because you did
Yeah,
you did fund under 12 hours, and it feels like you've gotten it even more down than you did on the last one because this is your third one on
right.
Kickstarter, and the crowd. I think
Yeah,
you crowdfunded the first two, and
yeah,
then is there any
yeah.
part that kind of feels still chaotic the third time
Not
around?
really. Not really. I mean, the thing about it is actually the first two or the first one I just released it on when Righteous Vow 1 came out. I just released it on Drive Through RPG because I'd never done anything like that before. And I was like, okay, cool. The second one I did a backer kit for Righteous Vow 2. And then on the third one, I was that was right after Gary Con. I talked with Zach Goins and Jeff Jones, and those guys are amazing. I've everybody's probably heard it before when I've done interviews, but I just always got to give major props to those two because they're both amazing human beings, amazing to work with. And Jeff Jones is I did an agreement with him where he does all my fulfillment. So for
Oh,
3 and now for 4, RPG Ramblings are the fulfillment partner of Crawl Club Publishing, and all of our books get shipped out through him. He does a fantastic job, and working with Zach and Jeff with that is great. So all of it went so smooth with 3. I loved it. And it went so smooth with Shadowcrawler Carnage that we're doing that again with Righteous Vow Volume 4. And that's the main thing about Volume 4 is, I put that $8,000 goal on it,
yeah,
and that was just me because I look at it, some people like to kind of fudge it. And I don't know, I'm not going to say names of anybody. There's lots of people that do it, but they'll put like a $400 goal on there or something just so that they
yeah,
can fund right away. I don't like to do that because I'd rather be honest with people and just say, hey, here's what we really need to produce this book, because I'm going to do a hardcover, I'm going to do a soft cover, and we need to pay our editors, artists, and make sure that everybody gets paid on this thing. And then after that, that can hopefully go a little bit to me, a little bit to the future of Crawl Club Publishing and keeping this ball rolling on what we're doing. And so far throughout this thing, I've reached into my pockets to help fund it. We've managed to. At first, we were far in the red, and I was just like trying to pay things off. We're just finally kind of getting to that point where it's like, okay, we're even until I look at taxes, and then it's like, oh, maybe we're not even, but we're getting there. But we'll still be solvent. Everything will be in the black, but it's nice to be able to do this and finally get a little bit of relief of, oh, okay, we're gonna be cool. And I'd love for this thing to hit 34, 30. It was 34 last time,
yeah. It was
but
34, and then your goal is
yeah,
9. You've reached as of today, which we're filming with the last couple of days of March. You're
yeah.
at 19.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I would love to get back up there again, but if we are somewhere in the 20s, I'm going to be very happy just because, this time I feel like last time we were technically doing 3 books at once,
Yeah,
because not everybody knew about volumes 1 and 2, and so a lot more people were buying the bundle. And this time around, although I did get every interview I've gone on, just about everybody says, "Man, that is a cheap bundle for what you're getting." So a
hmm,
lot of people are like, "I'm buying it," um, that don't already have those books. But I'm glad we have a lot of repeat customers that are hopefully happy with 1, 2, and 3, and they, come back and just get 4. Or I haven't put Shadowcrawler Carnage on there as an add-on. I might towards the end. But I just want to make sure that everybody, including our international backers, that are getting print-on-demand versions, I want to make sure that those are active on Drive Through RPG before I start selling those elsewhere. The only
yeah,
reason we did like Gary Con, yeah, was just because we wanted to make sure it was available since I was running it. But even then, it was a select group of people that had access to it to purchase it there. But yeah, I definitely want to make sure all the international backers get their books before I just go put it online for sale. Um, but as soon as I get, because I'm just waiting on Drive Through RPG because it takes forever to get your proofs from them.
yeah.
As soon as I get those proofs, the floodgates are open. Um, But I'm excited for everybody to be able to get their international POD versions. I'm really happy with how the printed versions came out, that we got in the mail. And the first time I actually saw them in person was at GaryCon because Jeff brought them to me, and it was like Christmas.
I, and then for anyone listening, actually own the first two volumes, and your backers are right. There's an incredible amount of adventure in there, and then I haven't had a chance to actually run them or be part of them. I do want to
Yeah.
ask one question that I'm curious of, as you're, and I think volume four now, and probably five or six down the road. How many
Yeah.
levels do people kind of level up on each adventure? Is it one or two, or just one, or?
It depends and it varies. Each one of my books is written for 5 players, and I actually even have it on my website. So if you go to crawlclub.com, just to the website, and you ever have a question about one of the books, you can go on there, go to the book gallery section,
Mm-hmm.
and each one says, like volume one says, designed for 5+ players, levels 1 through 5. So it's going to start you off at the beginning and take you up to about level 5. And then the volume two is for players level 3 through 6. So you might be, somewhere in 3, 4, 5, and you'd be up to 6. You might even get to 7 if you're starting at level 5 or
Yeah.
something. The volume three is designed for 5+ players of level 5 through 8. So, and I put that out there, and something that I'm starting to do that I should have done from the beginning was I didn't have the best etiquette in listing that at the front of the book like I should. It's at the beginning of the adventure it says that, but
Yeah.
um, people probably want to know that sooner than if they're flipping to where the adventure section is. So on volume four and beyond, we're going to always have, right at the beginning of the book. This is volume four. It's for players 1 through 6. Volume four is going to be another one of those level 1 through level 6 adventures. And it's going to be in a new part of the world where people will experience new classes because we're going to have a Buccaneer class. Obviously, if you're going to have pirates in there, obviously you want to play one. So, and then we're also going to have kind of a lot of fun magic included in this one because we have what are known as the elementalists,
Mm-hmm.
which are just, elemental magic. We're going to have a pyromancer, a hydromancer, and an aeromancer in this book. On each class has a full list of spells. Some of them are classics, like obviously the pyromancer is going to want to throw a fireball. So the fireball is going to be included in their spell list, or burning hands. But there's also going to be new spells like the cauterize spell, which is something that we developed ourselves. That's fun. Basically, it does many different things, but one of the things you can do with it is if somebody loses a limb, you can cauterize a wound and stabilize them,
Oh, nice.
so it kind of makes for a fun role play, heavy spell where we want to create fun things that you'll use in the world that will be useful to you at some point during the adventure, and might be a fun moment where you're like, hey, I got this. I can, you got your arm cut off, but
I know with
yeah,
three, when that came out, they were just coming out with like Paladin as a supplement, and then that kind of
yeah,
led it right into your story as well, because you were dealing with a group of Paladins or Cavaliers, or there was
yeah,
even
yeah,
Holy Knights, and
yeah. I got
so
excited
you
about
were
that.
able to, and I even add classes onto that. So anyone that's buying into these are obviously able to play custom classes that are specific for your setting or that you're bringing
Yeah.
out.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of the fun thing about it. Even we did that with volume two, and volume four, and then also in Shadow Crawler Carnage, we added some cool archetypes to the Dark Space universe, and a lot of the things that I like to do is create those with the knowledge of they fit into this story and this setting, because volume two is a prime example of that. You've got the Lizard Man and the Ratkin class, or ancestries rather, and those can be any of the core classes in the book, or even applied to the Western Reaches classes when you get
Ooh,
those, which will be a lot of fun. But it's just a really fun way to tie that into the world because you're surrounded by these ratkin, and then you're also surrounded by these lizard men. Why not get to be one in that world, you know? And it's not necessarily something that you'll pull outside of that world. You can if you want to, but it's not something that necessarily has to go anywhere else if you don't want it to, but it can be if your DM allows it, and that's fun too. So we just
Now
like to
you keep
lean
saying
into
like
it.
your world. If anyone can pick this up and put it like in their own custom world though as well, with
Yes.
just minimal work.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of our adventures, any of the hex crawls can be plopped right into your map. And as of right now, we don't technically have a Righteous Vow world, but that is changing because we're actually working on a world map for all of the adventures to turn Righteous Vow into its own world. The thing about it though is like even if we do that, I still love the fact that people are taking parts of our world
Hmm.
and putting it into theirs, you know. So nothing out of Righteous Vow I ever want to say you have to play this in this universe. I want people to take it, enjoy it, make it their own, steal from it. I mean, don't necessarily steal the book, but steal parts of it to put in your,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, even
But
like the Kings of the Hill, like Ed Greenwood or Keith Baker, or
yeah,
Tracy Hickman, the people that create those iconic settings, say the
yeah,
exact same thing. It's like borrow this if you want. It don't matter as long as you're not
yeah,
plagiarizing us. We don't care.
exactly. And I love that, and I love that attitude, and I think that no matter where you go in this kind of in this space. A lot of people have similar outlooks on how things should be. And I think that just the positivity and the overwhelming encouragement that comes from, especially from the Shadow Dark community, I feel like I've always had this sense of inclusion
Yeah.
and and I always want to be inclusive in everything we're doing just so that way, you're never gonna see a Shadow Dark, or you might see a Shadow Dark adventure for somebody, but you'll never see a Crawl Club adventure that's gonna exclude anybody. Or I hope not, because I might do it on accident. And if I do, please let me know, because I don't ever want to do that to anybody. But I want, fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, everybody to be able to play these adventures and include them in their games with their friends, their family. In Shadow Crawler Carnage, I may have talked about this before. We always show the moment before the violence, but we don't actually show the
Yeah,
violence.
you were mentioning that on the last episode with
Yeah,
the crawler carnage, just kind of showing the moment leading up to, but not obviously, and then
yeah,
going the Alfred Hitchcock manner of like veering off into the shadow.
yeah. And that's something that I'm trying to do with all these books is to make sure that everybody can be excited about it and have fun. And there's going to be dark moments. There's going to be moments where your character gets horribly something bad will happen,
I
but
mean
at the
that
same
that's
time we
the
can all laugh
OSR,
about
not
it.
to interrupt, but
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
OSR is people are playing the OSR for the grit and
absolutely.
for a little bit more, for lack of a better word, kind of savage combat. Uh,
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And I mean, even for anyone watching this, we're covering this on the next episode a lot more with my regular co-hosts. But even Wizards is realizing the superhero polish of 5e and 5.5 is kind of wearing thin, and everybody's going to the OSR. So they're bringing out like Melf's Guide to Greyhawk, and there's rumors that they might be changing to a little bit more of a grit coming in the future. So they're understanding
Nice.
what the community wants. This episode's been brought to you by. So every GM here starts small from the experts when building a campaign, right? A tavern, a village, a few NPCs. But what if your players want something more without feeling overwhelmed? That's where Centurion 3D steps in. Their set brings over 30 build out options, infinite ways to grow your world, infinite ways to grow your table. Centurion 3D Studios is for game masters who want to stay small but go big for their players. Alright, fellow hermits, Heimdall has just dropped their new dice line, and they come in a unique LED display box that makes them look like they're pulled straight out of a mythical ancient Viking vault. And the dice themselves, they're runic. Full Thark inspired font on the faces, but the wild part is they've got this iridescent finish that literally changes when the light hits them. It's like your dice are actually filled with magic. If you want to show off the dice in a totally new way, grab one of these 5 sets, if not all of them. There's something out of the 9 realms themselves.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, I am excited about that to hear that. And and never ever apologize for interrupting me, because if you don't, I'll never shut up,
No,
Nathan.
that's
So
fine.
please do, please do. That goes to anybody who interviews me or talks to me. If you got something to say, just say,
That
Bill, it's my turn.
it's just the Midwest person in me. I have to apologize. It's like, hey, hold on one
No,
second.
it's all good, man. I appreciate that. We all say, excuse me, or what is it? Ope, just gonna
Yep,
scooch past you.
yep.
But the wonderful thing about this OSR kind of renaissance for everybody, obviously old school renaissance, old school revival, however you want to say it. There's so many definitions. All of them are right, right? And
Yep.
everything that wants to be OSR is OSR, I believe. I think that there's too many people trying to, well, and there's not really even that many gatekeepers. I guess there's just like, I think it's one of those instances where so many people say there's a lot of gatekeepers, but there's not really probably as
No,
many as they
I don't.
say.
I don't
It's
feel
just
it's really a thing anymore, especially going
yeah.
into just coming back from GaryCon just a week or two ago and
Yeah.
seeing. You walk into the old game room that still has a lot of the old TSR people, and they're the most welcoming people there.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's great. Just the community of these old school writers and illustrators. I tell you what, I was really excited to last year meeting Darlene, and she signed my maps. I bought a couple of her hand signed maps, and she like hand did her cool handwriting on it and wrote it out to Bill, and I was super excited about that. And what was it? Ed Greenwood won his Lifetime Achievement
Yes,
Award,
he
wasn't it?
did.
And that was awesome to see. There's a lot of those guys that are getting up there, and it's
Hmm.
kind of it's like, man, we only got a few years with these cool dudes left, so let's celebrate them for
No,
sure.
and that's half the
Awesome.
reason why I went to sorry on that side
Yeah.
to Jeff Easley's table and got a print of his and got it signed as well, just because
Oh
that's
yeah.
a classic Red Dragon that I've seen since I was in my 20s when I first started even playing this game and just
Heck
loved
yeah.
it.
That is awesome. One of the things that I got to do while I was at GaryCon that was really cool is, I don't know if you've heard of this, but my son and I started playing this card game, as if we need another game besides RPGs, right? Another
Yeah.
thing to take up our time. But the cool thing is my 11-year-old son is like, he's getting into it because he's having fun with it. We play at home and then we go to the game store and play it. There's this game called Sorcery Contested Realm, and it's basically it's kind of like Magic the Gathering in the 90s,
Okay.
where all the cards are hand painted. And the cool thing about it is, a lot of your favorite artists from RPGs, some of those guys are drawing the artwork for the cards. So Doug Kovacs, who does the really awesome art for Dungeon Crawl Classics and
Yeah.
a lot of other RPGs, he actually did a bunch of the cards in Sorcery. So I went over to his booth and I said, "Hey, do you have those with you? Can I see them?" And he pulled out this crate full of all of his original paintings from the cards. So I got to actually see and like hold in my hands. I'm like, ooh, that's a real, that's the real actual painting you used to make these thousands of cards, or however many million or whatever that are being sent out to everybody playing the game. And then, I found out how much they were for the originals, and I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me see those. I can't afford that, but thank you. I feel
Let me
honored.
put this down gently before I break
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it was cool to see that there. And that game is, the thing I love about it is it plays more like chess or a board game, because it's played on a grid rather than just like a line of stuff against a line of stuff.
Yeah.
So you actually move things around on the grid rather than having it sit still, which kind of makes it a lot more fun, because you're actually have pieces that move kind of like chess pieces in the game, while you're playing it. And it's the other thing I love about it is, I don't know if you're this way, I am this way. And it's like, I'm okay with sci-fi. I'm okay
Hmm.
with like, sword and sorcery. I don't love it when those things, I'm not really a big Expedition to the Buried Peaks
Oh,
fan. I don't love it when we get when we mix our, our peanut butter and jelly with banana or whatever, which just some people love that. And there's times where I can deal with it. Like when I'm playing DCC and the wizard picks us up on the van and flies us to the next place, that can be okay. I don't hate it or anything. It's just when I'm in the mode for sword and sorcery, I want to play sword and sorcery and I don't want like all this sci-fi stuff surprising me at some point. So,
So kind of like the I guess the best comparison is like an 80s He-Man genre of like sword and sorcery, but it has technology
yeah, and what
involved in
that's
it.
the and I watched that all the time when I was a kid, so
Yeah.
I'm totally like disproving my point. But but yeah, I kind of love to stay in that lane when it's there. If we're playing in a game where someone says ahead of time, oh, this isn't going to include sci-fi and sword and sorcery, then I'm cool with it. But if you like throw it in there and I'm not expecting it, then I kind of get, oh man, but
No, and you're not even
yeah,
saying that you don't agree with it or that it's wrong. You're just saying that's your
right,
preference, and that's half
yeah,
the thing with a lot of our community is well, there's a ton of creative people in this community, and there's a lot of different preferences and tastes. And I think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the new surge that came in with COVID about 5 6 years ago now, these people weren't fully expecting all these different preferences and all these highly creative people that are
Yeah,
very opinionated. We are certainly not afraid to say what we love and what we hate.
absolutely. Yeah, and the reason I was even bringing that up, and I'm sorry, I'm like, oh, a squirrel, and then I go off into
No,
my
no, no.
ADD.
You're talking to a
But
podcaster, so I get it.
yeah, but I was just saying that because Magic had kind of reached that
Hmm.
stage, Magic the Gathering, where it's like, dude, they've got like Transformers in there. You play a Commander game, and you could be playing against like Ninja Turtles now. I mean, that's cool, and I'm happy for the people that love that, but I kind of don't love that when I'm like got, my barbarian sword wielder against your Transformer, and then I find out your Transformer does all these million things, and then it's played at like instant speed where everything's like boom boom, I got a gotcha for everything you've got. Well, sorcery is played at sorcery speed, so it's kind of like you get to do everything you want to do, and then the other player gets to do everything they want to do on their turn. It's not like you got all these gotcha moments,
Yeah.
really. I mean, there's a couple of them in there that are kind of like, oh man, that's tough, but it's not like at the speed of light. Oh man, that guy just had these $400 cards that just like turn two'd me, So that's what I kind of like about it. Anyway, I've talked way too long about this sorcery game that I'm obsessed with now.
No, I was just going to add in the comment with like Magic the Gathering of like I
Yeah.
sold my collection during the pandemic because my partner at the time we were single income and I had to make car payments.
Oh yeah.
And the only other time that I've thought about coming back, and I'm kind of glad I didn't just because they kept adding in genre after genre, was like Doctor Who,
Right.
just because I'm a
Oh
childhood
yeah.
Whovian. And I'm just like, man, if
Oh
there's a
dude.
time to come back, I'd probably now, but I held off, and then I'm kind of glad I did. But man, if to play the Doctor as a planeswalker would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I have that deck. So, and that's the funny thing is, my son, and the reason I have those decks because they had like the themed precons you could get, is because my son and I, or my boys and I, started watching Doctor Who,
Hmm.
and my oldest, what's her name in the first gal that he picks up, Rose Tyler.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the new Who.
So yeah, so he was like all about Rose Tyler. He's like, oh, I think he was like had a little crush on Rose Tyler, as we all did.
Yeah.
She's a good looking gal, and but he was like all about her character. He thought she was the coolest. And then like that moment where she goes off. I don't want to spoil it, but he was like, no more Rose Tyler. He was so it like broke his heart, but we had made sure that he got to play with the deck with Rose Tyler in it, and he was excited. So.
Wait till he
Uh,
gets to my favorite Amy Pond. He's gonna be really heartbroken.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think he's watched like all of the all of the new series. Like he's gone. He like it was kind of funny because we watched like the first couple seasons together, and then after that he was off to the races. And it was like, dude, you like made it through a whole season this week. We need to like slow down your TV time, buddy. So but he's a good kid. He gets good grades and he does his homework. And it's kind of like if you get your stuff done and you're a A student, we'll let you watch a show if you want. So,
Exactly. I mean, if you're getting, it's the same principle of the people that want to lecture you with your finances. It's like, hey, I'm paying my bills, I'm not
right.
struggling, so yeah, I'm going to spend a little extra on this because this makes me
Yeah,
happy. So it's same with your time and your productivity. It's like let the people celebrate their small moments.
absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
you're proving that right now, kind of circling back to the original subject with Righteous Vow. Is like you're putting out
Yeah.
these multiple volumes, and it's paying off because people are catching on. You're on volume 4 now, five
Yeah.
possibly coming out
Oh yeah.
here
We've
probably
already
maybe
play
end of
tested.
the year or maybe
Yeah.
2027.
Yes, yes. It'll definitely, I think that five will be kind of like a second half of the year thing. We want to do some more fun stuff. I am going to be working with Marcelo actually, and that's the next thing I promised him as soon as I'm done with four and get that out the door. I really want to do this, and I really am looking forward to it. Is he's written a DCC adventure that I absolutely love, and I got to play in it and I'm excited to produce it. But we're going to put out a DCC adventure, so I'm excited for that. And I just love enabling creative people, and that's going to be a lot of fun to try and kickstart that and see how that goes.
And then
But
for anyone that's wondering who we're talking about, it's I can never remember how to pronounce
Dave
his last.
Velasquez, yeah,
Yes,
yes, Marcelo
Marcelo.
Dave Velasquez.
He is an amazing hidden gem of Omaha that I do not think gets the credit he deserves. He was one of
Absolutely,
my first guests on here. The dude has a heart of gold and has said more than his fair share of warm words to me to keep me doing this
yeah,
podcast. That when I kind of question myself of like, do I want to continue this? He just says he said at last NewtCon that really kind of got me not emotional, but got to me a little bit. It was like you're the only one in our kind of local community that is doing this consistently, and you're shining light and showing people what we do in a positive manner. And I'm just
yeah.
like, to hear somebody kind of say that isn't part of my inner group is amazing.
Yeah, no, he's totally positive, encouraging, man. I tell you, like, I just want success for him, and I'll tell you what, he
Exactly
is
same.
successful. He was successful. He's been published on all these 5e adventures and all these things that he's done, and he even wrote for Matt Colville. I think he
Hmm.
did some MCC stuff. So he's been doing this for a long time and knows what he's doing. And I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. I don't think that enough people realize, or maybe they do, but over in the 5e community, he runs that thing at GaryCon, or is a big part of
No,
running the Adventure League stuff, or
he was
or
running
whatever.
the I
Legends
can't
of
remember
Greyhawk.
like Dire Dungeon or whatever the heck Wizards was running, and
Yeah,
the
he's the man
lethality
over
on
there.
that thing apparently was pretty high because they were giving out
Nice.
T-shirts at the past and future uh, seminar that Wizards and Luke Gygax was holding. Because at the time it was like Saturday, only like a handful of people out of 70 had passed that
Yeah.
dungeon, and that's a 5e dungeon.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's the thing, like he's murdered his fair share of my characters before. So I know that Marcelo can do it if he needs to. But I love that. And that's going back to like, and not to sidetrack too much, but going back to that when you were asking about the OSR
Hmm.
and how deadly it is. But I think the goal is always, and I think it was one of my most fun moments was a few weeks ago. It was probably a month ago or a month and a half by now, but we had our last FLGS Shadow Dark game day at the game shop here. And the game shop, man, they are so supportive of what do we do. I love
Oh
that.
yes, it is.
Yeah,
Besides them and Dungeon Crate,
yeah,
anytime anyone comes on the Omaha, Nebraska page and like recommends people, it's always Game Shop and Dungeon Crate. Those
yeah.
are my two favorites.
Yes,
There are
love it.
others in the community, and there are plenty of things, but those are my two favorites that I really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same. I totally agree with you 100%. Because like I went over there and played and ran the game, and there were 14 people there wanting to play that day. And so I ran an adventure for like it was 3 tables wide for 14 players. And we kept it moving because Shadow Dark just allows you to do that, where it's like
Yeah.
you move you do your thing, you move your do your thing. And everybody got to play. It was super fun. Now we're getting some more GMs stepping up so that way we can actually break it off into like 6 or 7 people. But the cool thing about it was we ran an adventure um, that is notoriously good at murdering PCs, and I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. It's one of the one-page dungeons that came in the original Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a really it's called Wavestone Monolith. So if you ever get to play the Wavestone Monolith, you're gonna have to play smart because it gets some people. You may not walk out of there with your PC alive, but I only managed to murder 3 of them, but and
Oh,
it wasn't me. I didn't murder them. Their decisions led to, unfortunately, their demise. But I try, I always try to make sure, especially on FLGS game days, for people who are new to the game or whatever, that I kind of broadcast the danger more than I even usually would.
yeah.
And I always give the DCs in advance. So I say you're going to need a Dex check that's a DC 15, and that's the only way that you're going to not take this damage. So I try to make sure that nobody gets gotcha'd.
Yeah.
And that way the whole table of 14 people with 14 luck tokens, because I always give a free luck token to people when they play in a one shot,
Yeah.
can hopefully help them survive. But they were getting through it, run out of luck tokens, and we had 3 stragglers that were still trying to get out of the dungeon as these things were stem. And unfortunately, 3 of them died. But the rest of them got out of there. They rescued who they needed to rescue, and it was great. But the funnest moment was at the end when I was like, "Can I take your picture with your character sheets? Because I've got the death stamp. You got to
Yeah.
have the death stamp where you stamp the character sheet and you write down their cause of death and the day and everything." And all 3 of them just with the biggest smile are holding up their dead character sheets for the picture. And one of them was, I don't remember exactly how old she was. She may have been like 13, 14 years old girl. And it was one of the daughters of the dads that was there. And she was just smiling ear to ear, and she thought it was so fun. And she's like, "Oh, I got a great idea for my next character." And I think that that is the essence that I love about OSR is, sure, sometimes it's not going to be your day, your character's going to die, but you just roll up a new one and you're back to
And
having
it's
fun again.
easy to roll up on.
Yeah.
It takes 5, 10 minutes and even less
Yeah.
because they have shadowdarkling.net and all that will help you with a little bit of
Yep.
tweaking. But
Yeah, and because of that fact that you can make one so fast, oftentimes if a character dies in an adventure, it's like roll one up quick because I'll give you the XP for this adventure to your new character if they contribute before the end. So and then they can go and join in, and they showed up, whatever,
mhm.
make me a story of how they got here. Maybe they captured by some cultists or something and got away, or were rescued by the party. So and it makes it always fun, always having a blast. And I think that's the thing that I love the most is running these games, writing these games. It's just a blast. I have so much fun. And at GaryCon, it was so much fun because I love bringing people joy through running these games and hearing the feedback, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things that are going to change in the adventure we ran. I love that we play tested it. There were so many people with cool ideas of you should tweak this a little bit or change this about this so that way, and people doing unexpected things, throwing things off of ships they're not supposed to throw off the ship. But hey, you know what they did, and now I got to come up with a solution for that.
And
So
that's for volume 4 that's coming out.
yeah, yeah. So we play tested some stuff. We had a lot of fun with that. And that's the other thing that I love to do is I did the same thing in Shadowcrawler Carnage. And I actually in Volume 4 is anybody who play tests the adventure with me at a convention, if they send me an email, I'll actually put them in the book as a contributing playtester to the module or the book. So
Oh,
they'll have
nice.
their names in there. So another fun thing. Sign up for my games to get in
And
the book.
then to comment on your one throughout what you're talking about, it's like even Gary Gygax said it's like
Yeah.
I don't kill people. People kill, their
Oh,
choices kill their own characters, and that's usually
yeah.
what it is. It's just being foolish.
Yeah. One thing that I stole directly from Gary Gygax that I started doing at conventions, and it's a brilliant thing that I just like, there's so many people that sit there with a notepad and write down monster one, this many HP, monster two, this many HP, monster three, this many HP, and it corresponds to what's on the board. I have my tokens there because I used to do miniatures all the time
Yeah.
at conventions and it got to be like really a lot of weight. So what I did was I went on Amazon and they have these like little wooden tokens that are an inch around and then the
Yep.
2 inch tokens. I just print out the actual VTT tokens, cut them out, slap Elmer's glue those things on top, and you got your tokens for the game. Well, what Gygax used to do is he'd say, what you need to play is, your multi-sided die, your D20, the standard 7 dice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also need 40 to 50 D6s or whatever. And the reason he'd say that is because he would actually, if there was an orc there, he would roll the die. That's how many hit points it had, and he stuck it on the table, and that's your orc, right? So what
Oh.
I do is I just have a bag of D6s at the table, and when somebody hits a zombie, I put that much damage on a D6 and put it next to that creature. And it not only helps me to keep track of which one, I don't have to have it on a piece of paper saying, oh man, this one has taken this much damage. Which number was that again? Instead, it's right next to the token. The damage is right there. And then you don't have people asking, out of all of these monsters, which one looks the most damaged, DM? They just see this one's got 5 damage on it, which, sometimes that can be a negative, I guess, if you're
Yeah.
trying to really immerse yourself and not a metagame too much. And I might not do it in every game if we're really trying to lean into the role play, but I feel like at a convention that's
No,
brilliant.
that's perfect
It's-
for a convention.
yeah.
I know one thing because I when I first started playing 4E was a big thing, and then they brought it back with 5.5 was when they get down to like half HP, the bloody status effect, and I use that in my home games all the time. It's just you got this person down to half. This gives you a sign.
Yeah.
It's like there's hope.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about this too is like, and part of the panels, I don't know if you got to go to Kelsey's panel, the reverse Q&A. Did you make it to that one?
No, she's
No?
actually her Stefan Bacorny and Todd Stashwick that want to come back on because they
Oh,
have projects coming out that because
amazing.
Bacorny's coming out with the Dwarvianot Chronicles, which is his GM masterclass.
Perfect. That's super cool. And that's wonderful too. I
And one other person, or one of the few people I did not run into, because that was the other thing I was trying to do
that's
besides play games and get signatures and go to seminars was trying to network with people and like then be that
yeah.
guy like, do you want to come on for an interview and talk? And I got a lot of yeses. Like,
Sweet. I want to get everybody on here for you. I love doing this. Thanks for having me on 3 times. I mean,
yeah,
it's heck yeah, man. Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things, especially about Gary Kahn, is getting to meet all those people and they're right there. You can talk to them. Everybody seems to be very personable and kind and just wants to have fun and be cool to you right back. So, and everybody from, Luke at Limithron to Kelsey, everybody's just so excited to be there and having fun and having so many people as excited about what they love.
exactly.
But yeah.
You're
And
able to wave your Gary Con is especially in the I it really just felt because there's we for anyone that's listening that is not in the Omaha area, there's a Nuke Con which is just I think we had almost 1,000 people here this last one, and then
yeah,
Gary Con's 4 times the size of that, and it's just literally the same feel. It's just a smaller version of GaryCon, which I really love. There's just a lot more industry people, obviously, at GaryCon just because of
Yeah.
who it's for.
Yeah, but NewCon is special too. That was really excellent last year. Got to play with Chris Gonerman from
Hmm.
Basic Fantasy and a bunch of games and run some games. And then you got to do a panel with Chris Gonerman, which was
Uh-huh.
really cool.
And he was my 100th
Yeah.
episode on here, and it was amazing. And one of my,
Yeah.
still to today, the most watched one. Maybe not the most viewed, but definitely the people that actually watched it stuck around the longest to watch it.
Sweet. That's great. Yeah. And one thing I will say is there were some panels there, and I know that they filmed them. So I think that Limithron, the Ship of the Dead
Hmm.
podcast, I don't know if you've listened
Yeah,
to
I've
that. That
watched a couple. He
yeah.
just recently talked to Professor DM, which is an amazing interview.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's those are like two of my favorites. I got to hang out for what is it? Between Two Cairns, which is Yohai and Ben and their third buddy who I always forget his name and I feel bad. But there's three of them now because it used to be just the two of them, but then they added their other friend on there and he contributes a lot of good things too.
No, and that
But I really love that one.
if I go next year, which I didn't know they'd allow that,
Yeah.
which I could talk to even to Luke and find out if he's okay with it, which I'm sure he is because he's just super cool and personable. It's just being
Yeah.
able to actually record those panels and
Yeah.
put them up on the internet and be able to the people that miss out on Gary Con share that wisdom, and that's even a
Right.
bigger part of the community is just being able to share that wisdom, and that's part of what you're going to
Oh
be doing
yeah.
with OSR.
That was actually what I was going to tell you is I think they did film all of them. And they actually have video of them and they're going to put them up on YouTube. So I know that the Ship of the Dead usually releases the OSR ones and then I'm pretty sure they're going to release the Between Two Cairns episode will go up there. I really think I think his name's Ben Milton. He's
Hmm.
a beautiful he writes some really awesome modules, but he also, if you ever listen to that podcast, but him and his back and forth between Yohai is just hilarious to me. I think that those guys are they're really nice guys and really fun to hang out with or talk to. I don't really get to hang out with them, but I'd love to hang out with them and play a game just because I think it'd be a riot. But those two are just they crack me up. Every episode of that is just pure comedy to me. I think they're hilarious. All of those it's cool to go back and listen to because I actually missed that reverse Q&A, but someone actually recorded it and put it up on the Discord, so I got to listen to it and there was a lot of cool stuff in there about people hacking Shadow Dark and hacking, you know, different systems to add their own, because basically that's all dark space is a hack of Shadow Dark. It's sci-fi Shadow Dark. Then what I'm doing technically a little bit, not so much, is I'm hacking certain parts of Shadow Dark to add in these rules for pirates and black powder weapons and new classes and new spells. So that's the beautiful thing about every single one of these games is taking it, adding your own house rules, making it your own. Because I bet you take 5e and there's certain things that you don't do just by the book, right?
No,
There's
no,
got
I actually, and that, what's funny, and that's the thing I love about OSR is the thing that I started doing back in like 2021 was I
nice.
started making 5e more gritty. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it just, I felt no matter what I could do, I couldn't hurt my players or really make them feel consequence. And like I put in like very kind of one step beyond the lingering injury table for 5e and just
yeah,
at lower levels, like if you get hit and you don't have third level spells, you're sometimes walking out with a maimed hand or a broken rib, and that's devastating to a fighter that ain't able
sure.
to hold his shield or his sword in both hands. Or the
Absolutely.
barbarian, if you maim his hand, he can't hold a great axe with two hands.
Yeah. That reminds me of Tabletop Bob. I don't know if you've watched his channel, but
I
um,
have.
I love tabletop, Bob. I was fortunate. We were fortunate enough to be able to run some games. I got to run some Righteous Vow on the channel and hang out and with them. But they had that Keep on the Borderlands run in 5e, but they used that. It was like the hardcore mode
Yeah.
for 5e, and that what you're talking about kind of reminds me of that. And that is like if I was going to go back and play 5e, I think I'd have to play it in that hardcore mode like you're saying, just because I love RPGs, but I don't want to play superheroes unless I'm specifically playing superheroes. You know?
No, and I brought it up at the very beginning with like Wizards and like Gygax, as he mentioned that he's partnering with him like that Melf's Guide to Gygax, and he hinted at it
Yeah.
in the interview we had with him. Is like that's kind of what he's doing is bringing back Gygax to Greyhawk, and also introducing a little bit more of that deadliness. And he mentioned a couple of the things that will probably be in that guide, and that's one of them is just kind of making it a little grittier because that's what people want
Sweet.
to see.
That sounds cool to me. I'm actually excited to see it, and I know that they had that. It was more of like a sit down panel thing with where it was Wizards of the Coast
Hmm.
and Luke X, and they talked about, hey, we want to make sure you're included, that you get to be a part of designing this, which that's a step in the right direction. Which I love that. You know, I'm
No,
not
and
the biggest,
it's so
yeah,
bracing what the community that you're already deeply entrenched with is with like the Shadow Dark community. Of they
yeah,
want to include people. They want a lot of the OSR different systems, like especially like Chris Connerman we were talking about with that. He's so open and he offers everything for free on his site, and it's just the overall mentality of like this community as it's evolving. Even beyond,
yeah.
I think, almost to a second renaissance as opposed to like it was in the 2010s.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I'm having a blast. I'm just that's mainly if you want to sum everything up, I'm just having fun. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
happy to be. That's kind of
Well,
my
I mean, that's
my
the whole
stat.
reason I'm doing this
Yeah.
podcast is I'm just having fun. I'm
Yeah.
having fun being able to talk to people like you or the
Yeah.
people that in the industry and enjoy myself and show, hopefully younger people that are watching this as they are part of my demographic of like, you work hard, you stick to something, it pays off even if it gets tough.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's true for sure when it comes to gotten a lot of immensely positive feedback about a lot of the stuff in the books. And then we've got a few people that are like, we don't love this about it. We don't love this about it. This needs to change. And I actually really love that too, though, because especially with this new book, I've listened to and watched a lot of Joseph R. Lewis's YouTube videos and just read through his books. I got to play in his new adventure at Gary Con. That's the first Shadow League adventure,
Ooh.
which I'm really excited about. It was really fun. It had some brilliant mechanics in it that kept things moving. I don't want to spoil anything because I want everybody that participates in Shadow League for Shadow Dark Arcane Library is coming out with. It's basically going to be like Adventure League
Yeah,
for
but
D.
it's their own personal one.
Yeah, so it's going to be, their organized play. And I couldn't be more excited to bring that to Omaha and for all the players that play regularly in our games.
Oh yeah,
So,
and you're the perfect steward
yeah.
for our community for that because you're already, for as Marcelo would put it, you're already quote unquote. He said this in the hall. Yeah, he's quite hot shit, isn't he? I'm like, yes.
Oh man, gosh dang it. I don't know. Like someone said in the Discord the other day, they're like, you need a t-shirt that says, "Hey, I'm Bill" or whatever. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna get one that says biggest nerd here or something like that.
Yeah, I think as long
So,
as you don't put like my friend Bill, that way you don't think that you're part of Alcoholics or Alcoholics Anonymous, you'd be fine.
oh yeah, no, no. That's the thing. I'm just a dad who's having fun, man. I don't know. The other part of this is I'm just doing it. The only difference between me and everybody else is I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah,
Anybody can, it's so accessible right now. Anybody can go make an adventure. I'm just trying to be positive, surround myself with positive people and create
it,
something cool. And
it's just about sticking to it.
yeah,
But thank you for coming on, and we'll just have a good night, everybody.
yeah. Have a great one. Thank you so much.
Hey, tabletop gamers. thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.